I'm Teisha Bader. Thank you for joining me. The Shine a Light on Anti-Semitism Civic Courage Awards were recently announced, saluting individuals who are leading efforts to combat anti-Semitism and to promote understanding. Well, among them, a 91-year-old Holocaust survivor, recognized in the category of content creator. Mark Schonwetter, together with his daughters, founded the Mark Schonwetter Holocaust Education Foundation, a foundation which funds Holocaust education grants for teachers and over 185,000 students across 39 states here in the U.S. Mark travels across the country to share his personal story with students in his mission to educate the next generation so that they never forget. And we are truly so privileged to have Mark join us here on JBS. Mark, welcome, and you're joined by your daughter, Isabella. Thank you both for being here so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for introducing me and having me on this channel.
Well, it's an honor, and I hope you can share with us before we get to the foundation and why you started it and what its amazing mission is. Can you share with us your personal story of what happened to you in the Shoah?
Of course, definitely I will try to give highlights of my survival during the Holocaust. And let me start with a sentence which I consider the most important in my life. And this is to recognize my mother, thanks to whom me and my younger sister survived thanks to her. She was the person who guided us during this period of time. And how did we survive? Well, the way we survived, that when the Germans invaded Poland and they came to our little town in Poland named Brzostek, where my parents live, and then the Gestapo came to town and started asking about the Jewish people, and they were talking to the chief of the Polish police, and my father happened to be a farmer. He had a nice-sized farm, land, horses, and so far and so far. And the chief of police told him, you know, if you need information about the Jewish population, why don't you go to Mr. Schonwetter? Talk to him. He's the head of the Jewish community in this little town. He may give you more information. And they took, the information. They came to my father and they start talking to him. And they mentioned to him certain imposures that he has to enforce on the Jewish population in this little town, like to wear the Star of David on their arm, then announce that children cannot go to school anymore. And finally he told them that we taking your farm, your house, find yourself a spot to live in the town. You having basically 24 hours and move out. Only personal belonging you take with you. My father finds a room in a Polish family. We move. And me just say that there was a Polish family that helped him on a farm. And my father gave him a room in our house for the convenience to live on the property. And we were very friendly with this Polish family. Anyway, from the moment we moved, if the Gestapo wanted any information about the Jewish people or impose any rules, they called him to the police station, talked to him, go back home. One day he went, he never came back. My mom is waiting. He's not back, but it's late in the evening. What can she do? Nothing. She's not going to go to the police station, ask what happened. She was scared. Somebody knocks on the door. She opens the door. And who is that? The wife of the chief of police. Because my parents and them, they were friends before the war. That was normal. And she tells my mom, listen, I overheard a conversation between the Gestapo and my husband. And they're telling him that they will take all the Jews out from the town. I don't know where they take him, what they're going to do. So I strongly recommend take your little two kids, escape from here. So at least maybe you survive. And she left. Mom didn't know what to do, but she's scared, worried. But she decides to take two of us, and we go to this Polish family, which name was Piwat. We came in. She tells him this story. He says, don't worry about it. We find a way somehow for you to survive and escape. Nobody will know when and what. But it's late in the evening already. Let's go to sleep tomorrow morning. We sit down, we talk. So he says, let him stay with my kids and sleep with my kids. You go to so-and-so. I don't have enough room for you, and you sleep there. Tomorrow morning, we get together. Next early morning, the Gestapo walks into the house. They go straight to him, and they tell him, we were told that the Schonwetter family is in your house. Where are they? He says, they're not here. You're lying to us. I have people. We're going to search. We find them. We're going to kill you and them. Where are they? He says, you go and look. You're not going to find them because they're not here. So he says to his Gestapo guys, start searching. So they walk out from the room. He's following them. He stops by the door, turns around, pinpoints at one of the kids, and he says, how many brothers and sisters you have? Quick, how many? So the person says, 8. So he's counting the kids, 8 kids. Okay, so he walked out. Well, I'm saying now that I was the luckiest kid, that this kid was smart enough to include me in the count of brothers and sisters. Mr. Piwat says to the kids, get dressed, run out from the house, quick. And he tells me, you run behind the house. You know there are bushes behind the house. Hide there. Don't come back to the house. Sit, I pick you up. After a little while, he came, he took me, went to my mom, and he tells my mom, you know what? I see a very serious situation here. What I suggest for you to go, I think would be the safest place. Go to a ghetto. People live, all the Jews living together there. They just opened this place in the town right next here, which is Dębica, the name of the town. I go with you, I bring you there, you just go through the gate, they will let you in, don't worry, buy the room and live there. So we walked 15 miles from our little village to Dębica ghetto, walked in, And Mom starts walking around looking for a place to live. Every house we walking in is packed with people. While we walk the streets, we see people living on the streets even. Finally, she found a little tiny spot on the attic of one of the houses. She grabbed the place, says, okay, we live here. Of course, walking all day almost, looking for a spot. Two little tiny kids were hungry. So we cry and we beg, Mommy, Mommy, we hungry, give us something to eat. But she doesn't have anything. So she's asking a person, can you tell me where I can get some food for my kids? He looks at her, he says, yes, you get food when they give you food. So wait. So we wait and wait. Finally, they announced, and they gave us the first food there in the ghetto. What it was warm water, which they called soup, nothing in it. Then you make a step. They give you a slice of rotten piece of bread. Here's your food next. So that was the food we start. And we lived in the ghetto for 3 months. And that's what we ate. Of course, eating this much food, we were constantly hungry. We were sick. We got lice. Mom cut our hair. We never washed because there was no water. Never went to a toilet because there was no toilets. You had to go outside somewhere, find a spot. People were dying on the street. There was no doctors, no pharmacy, no medicine. If you survived your sickness, you were lucky. If not, you died wherever you were. And a lot of people were dying, we saw. So anyway, after 3 months, being in ghetto, a little boy came in and told my mom, you know what? There is a man standing there, and he's asking for Schonwetter. Can you tell me if you know where Schonwetter? He knew. He ran for Mom. He brought Mom, and the guy says, Mr. P, what happened to B? And he took a blanket, he threw over the barbed wire, and he says to Mom, throw the kids over the blanket, over the fence. Mom says, I cannot do it. I'm not strong. I'm weak. I don't have any strength. You can do it quick. Anyway, she did. She threw us over. She jumped over. And he took us to a village, to a farmer. And the farmer took us and put us in their house on the attic. And we were hiding there for a winter time. In the spring, the farmer threw us out. We went to a forest, and we lived in the forest through the whole summer. Of course, living in the forest wasn't so comfortable. We ate only whatever we could pick, mushrooms, berries, or whatever. But the winter came, that was the worst part. And Mom started walking around at nighttime, in the evenings, to farmers and ask us to take. Sometimes they did, sometimes they didn't. One winter we came to a farmer, I have to say this, and he says, okay, you come in a day and I'm going to hide you here. I have to find a spot for you. So when we came back, he took us to a pigsty, and he says, you see, I digged a hole here, but the hole is so small that the only way to be here is to lay down and lay day and night. Would you be able? Mom said, of course. So he says, step in. We step in. He puts pieces of plywood, some kind of on top of us. We lay. Then here he's putting hay on top of it. And finally we hear the pigs on top of us. And that's how we live a whole winter with the pig on top of us inside. It was very difficult because we couldn't move. We couldn't get out for a
How
toilet.
long was that for, Mark? How long did that last?
This lasted almost 3 months winter
Oh,
time.
and
Was
then what
horrible.
happened?
Was horrible. Then springtime came. He told us to go. We went back to the forest. After a few 2 or 3 months, the German front came in so close because it was already 1944. So we converted into refugees, escaping from the front line. We joined Polish farmers. Just follow where they go. We went, and my mom was teaching us to be Christians. She knew a little because she lived with Polish people, so she had an idea. And we became Christian people with the different names and everything. And a farmer took us and we lived with them. And then in 1945, some soldiers came in. We couldn't understand who are they. Different uniforms, different looks. One of them says, I speak Polish. Let me tell you, we are Russians. We liberated you. You free. You can go home. For you, the war is over. We couldn't believe what we hear. Anyway, we went back to our house. We were staying very short period of time. Mom was waiting for family, but nobody showed up. Nobody came back. So we moved to a larger town, Tarnów in Poland, and we start our living there. And that's how we start a new life after the war.
It's an
So
incredible story, Mark, and I know you probably have so much more to tell, but it's just, each moment of what you're describing is indescribable. It's so hard to comprehend that this is what you went through.
yeah.
And did you, as you were growing up and when you were ready to start a family, was it clear to you all the time that you were going to speak about this, that you were going to share this? Because I know from personal experience, a lot of Holocaust survivors do not. They can't talk about it. They find it very difficult. And I'm wondering if the decision to speak about it to your children, to your family, and ultimately to create this foundation, if that was something that you always knew in your heart that you would do.
Well, let me tell you quick. As a young child living in Poland, and I lived under the communist regime at that time. I lived in Poland till 1957. It was a long time. Never came across my mind about talking about the Holocaust or what happened. We just lived normal life, went to school, went to high school, graduated, and start university. My sister went to the university and she graduated from university. But what we did is leave Poland in 1957. We went to Israel, and then I was there for a short period of time, and I came to the United States by myself. My mom and my sister continued living in Israel, and I started my new life as a single young guy without a penny, without knowledge of a language at all. I didn't speak English, but somehow I got a job, I worked, then I met my wife, I got married, And then I got two my daughters. One is sitting here. The other one is Anne, a little bit older than her. But when they went to school, and they went to Hebrew school, then I start kind of occasionally go to the Hebrew school and share my history of survival.
And
But
when did you start the foundation? When did that happen? And Isabella, feel free to chime in because I know you're an integral part and very active in what you do.
yeah, well, Isabella, maybe you can take over the foundation because my two daughters were the initiatives behind creating the foundation. So let Heather give you the
We started the foundation in late 2019. My sister Anne wrote a book together, A Journey for Survival, in 2016. And at that point, we were all out speaking in different, places and schools, telling about my father's story. And there was one time that Anne and my father were speaking at an upper middle class school in New Jersey, and they wanted to bring in a classroom set of books. And they didn't have the funds of like $300 to pay for the books. So they realized that they needed to like reach out to a local synagogue to ask for funding. And Anne and I always wanted to do something in honor of our father. We always wanted to do something that can, and not to do something while he was still here rather than in memory of him. And it just clicked. And we were like, this is our calling. We researched, there was no organization that gave funds nationally to schools to support Holocaust programming curriculum. There are some organizations that give locally within maybe a county or a state, but nothing nationally. And Anne and I realized that there's a need for this. So in late 2019, we started the Mark Schonwetter Holocaust Education Foundation, raising money to be able to offer grants to schools nationwide to support Holocaust programming curriculum. Currently, 29 states mandate some sort of curriculum to teach in the classrooms, but there's no funding to support that mandate. So we realized that here's our calling. So our first grant cycle went out in January of 2020. We gave our first grants in March of 2020. And then you know what happened in March of 2020? The world shut down. And we realized, okay, what do we do now? But schools found a way to still teach. We all discovered the Zoom, Google Meets platforms, and a lot of our money was still used. So it was really a great kickoff to see that even in bad times, we can still come together as one and learn and help and support. So since then, we have given out over the last 5 years. We've reached over 39 states, reached over 188,000 students across the country. And obviously, there's so much more work that needs to be done. And then since October 7th, we never imagined in our wildest dreams when we started this foundation that we would be in the forefront of really the need. And we've seen the rise of anti-Semitism. We've seen the rise of hate across the board. And really being able to teach about the Holocaust and teaching about learning about the past and how hatred has no place and how important it is to teach kindness and respect in the classrooms. We realized how important our foundation is. And my dad's message always is spread love, not hatred, and you'll accomplish so much more in life. And that is what we are trying to do.
Absolutely. And it's so impressive what you're doing. It's really crazy that there was not that funding beforehand. You can mandate the education, but don't give the funding to make it happen. So I'm so glad that you saw that and stepped in to make it happen. And not only do you provide the funding, but Mark, I know you go to the schools and you speak to these kids. And that I think is so critical because it's one thing to learn about anything in a book, but in particular the Holocaust. And then you see someone who has gone through it, who can tell the story that you just told. And they can see this is a person who had a family, who had a life, and this is what happened. I think that is the most powerful thing you can be doing. What are some of those experiences like, Mark, when you meet these children and speak to them?
Well, I have to say that meeting those kids, it's so nice. It's so important. And you can see it when we open for questions and answers. How many kids are getting involved in asking questions? And some questions are so mature that it's makes you feel that what you do, it's a good thing to do because they learn, they listen, and hopefully this stays with them. And I am underlining constantly, making sure that they understand the importance of the Holocaust, what happened, what are the roads to prevent from anything like it to happen in the future, because we cannot allow for something like that to repeat itself in the future. And I depend on the new generation. They are the ones who growing up and have to make sure that this doesn't happen. And I am underlying that you as a future generation and me as an old generation, I as an old generation are praying that this will never happen again. And you are responsible for preventing of anything like it to happen. But more you know about it, more you learn the history about it, then more you have knowledge to prevent from happening. And I am underlining that we are all human beings.
Well,
And
Mark, you're doing an incredible job with your foundation. Mazal tov, congratulations on your award, on the recognition to you, to both of your daughters, Isabella and Anne. We salute you, we honor you, and we are so grateful that you took the time to be with us on JBS and share the incredible work of your foundation and share your story with us. We send you the very, very best. Thank you so much to both of you.
thank you so much for having us. It was a pleasure. And thanks again for all the things you're doing here.
Thank you.
Thank you.